Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
My kids go to an elementary school in Langley, BC. From the moment we started attending last year, I noticed that there were intentionally pride flags on nearly every door, and before they even enter campus, there's a billboard that says all are welcome. Because queer kids, queer parents, hi, and queer educators exist. Having a safe place to go to school is the bare minimum. We're not a threat, and believing anything like that is genocidal. Now, if you feel threatened by your child being involved in education that includes LGBTQ+ people, you can take them out of school and homeschool them. That's what my mom did. And look how I turned out.
Hi, good evening. I don't have the mental space to talk about what today was in depth, but I do semi-have the space to at least say thank you. Thank you to all of my friends across Canada who were able to participate in the protests, counter-back protests, fighting for LGBTQIA+ people, fighting for education, fighting for human rights. You know, just a regular Wednesday, if you will. Again, I was not able to attend myself because I was at work in Sherbrooke. I just got home. It takes 2.5 hours to get there, 2.5 hours to get back. I've been awake since 4 in the morning, you know, like the whole shindig. And to be quite honest with you, even if I wasn't working, if I had the day off, in theory, I don't know if I would have been able to attend anyways. Because what having to defend your existence does to you is completely fucking break you down mentally. To the point where I can see the depression myself is getting bad, even with medication. I can see my friends who are also mentally ill, and who happen to be queer. You are not mentally ill because you're queer. Let's make that very fucking clear. You can be mentally ill and objectively, separately queer as well. And it's how people react to us that's the problem. Maybe if we treated people with kindness and with love and with respect. I know, a concept that's fucking mind-blowing. Who would have heard of that in the 21st century in 2023? My God, it's just it's so much, too much. It's doing me head in, let me tell you. Having to feel like you have to defend your existence, having to defend your right to fucking live, having the need to defend your right to work, to healthcare, to mental health services. I don't know, like even having a fucking rainbow flag and not getting your ass kicked or being harassed or beaten to death, you know, just the little things. And if you're kind of uncomfortable with me because I am literally not able to process this after so many weeks and months of hearing about this and, oh, Canada's not that bad, we fucking live above the States. We've seen it before, we're seeing it again, we will continue to see it in the future. What happens in the States oftentimes gets mirrored in Canada. Delayed, but nevertheless, it happens. And I'm just thinking about how many young adults and kids will not have the ability to become fucking adults. Because when you feel like you don't exist, what's the point? What's the point of going on? Like, what's the point of going forward? If it's so evidently thrown in your face you're not wanted, why bother sticking around? And that's what further kills me. It's this whole fucking narrative of like, think of the kids, protect the kids, think of the children. You don't give a flying fuck about children. Unless they're white and they're Christian and they fall into your fucking perfect box of what it means to be a human being in your goddamn definition. And it's really sad to see how Canada, which was known to be this like super loving, accepting, tolerating, wonderful country that was known melting pot of mishmash of cultures and religions and identities and genders and sexualities. Because at the end of the fucking day, as long as you're not hurting anybody, it's completely fine. And now, in supporting that rhetoric, these people are hurting other people. And it's allowed. I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but obviously I have feelings about it. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm also going to wash this makeup remover, which has rudely been discontinued. The audacity. I'm doing my best to stay positive. I'm also getting off of TikTok tonight because I can't be saturated anymore by seeing so many hateful people calling me a part of a cult. Fucking the messages I've gotten on here on Instagram, which I never actually showed, but I still have screenshots of people telling me that I'm part of a cult, that I'm a fucking pedophile, that I'm brainwashed, and I'm a hurtful, abusive person because I'm preaching love and acceptance and diversity. I can't fucking deal with it anymore. So if you come at me, I'm just pressing the block button. Have a good night. Protect trans kids.
Here's a little fun fact. I'm from New Brunswick, but I'm sure you probably already know if you know me from this video. Now here's what I want to talk about. Today there was an anti-LGBT protest in the city of St. John called the 1 Million March for Children. Now the reason why this is so important to me is because I happen to be from around St. John. I happen to take my education there. And quickly before we start talking, this is a ridiculous protest. These people happen to be protesting against something called Policy 713. It's basically just a policy in our province that ensures a safe educational environment for LGBT students. That's literally it. Like, I'm not even joking. You can look it up. Regardless of that, it was subject to controversy earlier this year because our premier, Blaine Higgs, happened to change the policy a little bit. However, that's a whole other conversation I don't have the time to talk about right now. What I'm talking about is this protest, which just happens to protest against the policy in general. Now, going back to this, on a Wednesday afternoon, a bunch of jobless old people went to St. John to protest about indoctrination in our schools. And let me just tell you, I feel sad for these people. I feel really sad that they just fell for the most common conservative fear-mongering tactic in existence. Like, let's be honest, do you think half these people even actually know what they're protesting about? Probably not. Here's why it's so ridiculous. This indoctrination that they're talking about literally just does not even exist. And I just graduated from high school this year. I should know that. I've lived around St. John all my life. In the 13 years that I've been schooled here, I have not once been indoctrinated into LGBT-ness. Because let's say this together, this does not happen. And even though I just graduated this year, I guarantee you there are so many other New Brunswick youth who will tell you this does not happen in our schools. This is just a complete lie. I'll completely stand by what I said because I know this doesn't happen in New Brunswick. These people are protesting for nothing. Literally nothing but a common conservative fear-mongering tactic to demonize LGBT people here. Nothing other than that.
Attention to all Canadian LGBTQ plus individuals today. It is September 20th. There are anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ plus protests going on all across the country today. These are the same individuals who are part of the Freedom Convoy. They do not believe in logic and reason. If you see it on TikTok, they're also using language like the battle, the enemy, language that is very equivalent to warlike language, if you will. Some of these people, if they're anything like the Freedom Convoy, they may even be armed. So do not engage with these people. They do not believe in logic and reason, so do not engage with these people. That being said, there are counter-protests going on all across Canada as well, some of which I believe are happening as I make this video. But if you are not comfortable, avoid downtown cores if you are a part of this community.
Just a few days ago, I made a video about how it is so important as Canadians that we pay attention to US politics because what is happening in the US is happening here in Canada, and what happens in the US affects what happens here in Canada. And a prime example of that is that tomorrow, September 20th, there are going to be protests across the country protesting queer inclusive spaces in schools. Here is just one of many of the articles. You can Google this and look it up yourself. But there are right-wing anti-LGBTQ groups who are involved in this, who have planned this, and they are protesting queer inclusive education. I am genuinely confused as to why these people in these groups think that LGBTQ people are trying to convert their straight kids into being gay or being trans or whatever, because that's not what we're doing. We just want queer kids to feel safe being queer. We're not trying to turn straight kids queer. But I suspect that they know this. What they're actually upset about is the normalization of being LGBTQ. They don't like that there are safe spaces because they want it to be shameful. They want their queer kids to be ashamed of it. When people see that being queer is normal and that it is okay and that there are other queer people out there, when they see that there are queer people in books, in TV shows, in movies, in the media, in public, that tells people that it's normal, that it's okay. And this is exactly what right-wing people who are anti-LGBTQ don't want. They want it to be shameful. They want it to be this gross, icky thing that's hidden behind doors that we don't talk about because it's not normal. And they want their queer kids to be ashamed of being queer. I think that most of these people would rather their queer kids stay in the closet than ever come out because to them, it is shameful. They know that we're not trying to turn their straight kids queer. They know that. They just don't want their queer kids to feel safe being queer.
This message goes out to all the queer Canadians. Despite all these nationwide protests, I want you to remember, you are valid, you are loved, and our existence is not up to some other people's opinion. I, for one, am happy that you're here, and I am proud of you. Please remember to take care of yourself. And in the face of hatred, I think we should counter-protest with love. So if you know a trans person or a queer person, let them know that you care about them and you're glad that they exist. Send people unsolicited pup pics. And remember to make today gay, or queer, or trans, or whatever. In case you forgot, my other suit is a suit of armor, because I am a transgender knight. And I make gay chainmail. And while it's not selling very well right now, I know for a fact that a lot of queer people like this stuff. We are loved and we have space in this community. We are the community. Do you know how many of my neighbors know I do this? And they think it's cool AF. So don't let the haters get you down. There's more love than hate out there in the world.
We're off to another one of these counter-protests, this time because a bunch of parents think that it's not appropriate for kids to learn what it means to be queer. If you can believe that. God forbid we learn what it means to be queer when we have being straight shoved down our throats constantly, eh?
I'm just glad we could be out here to support children's rights and stand up for letting kids be kids.
I'm here to support trans kids, to support SOGI, to support LGBT identities being taught and learned about in schools.
I'm glad that we're holding this positive counter-protest.
Thank you to everybody who showed up.
My kids, my choice!
I'm protecting my grandkids.
Protecting them from what?
From you.
What am I doing that's danger?
Things I don't like.
Do you know what an intersex person is?
Is that something made up? That is not biology. That is bullshit. That's made up. If this is not made up, why is it that it wasn't existing, I don't know, years ago?
It did.
What is this all
It did exist years ago.
No, how did it exist?
But you can't show science that there's 30 other genders.
Well, I didn't say 30, you just said 30.
And you want it to be okay for a male to identify as a female and go into my elementary school or high school daughter's bathroom.
Are you accusing people of being predators without knowing them?
Absolutely
No,
not.
I'm
saying that I'm here to protect my daughter.
I'm asking a question.
He wanted to shower with me when I was in school. Me and all our other kids at Balmoral. You should print this, but it should be all over the news. Robert Noyes, Balmoral, North Vancouver. And he's in jail now. And it's really sad because he should be free so he can be back in the school system and go after people's children, right?
When they're 18, they can do whatever they want. When they're young, it's the parents' choice, I'm afraid. Sorry to say.
You know children still have autonomy, right?
Love you.
children, you're against parents' rights.
Weren't you
Why
in the
don't
group
you
that said
respect
bring
them?
your kids to this?
Huh? Yeah, my kids are down there with my wife.
So you're indoctrinating your kids?
I identify as a lamp pole today. Right? Does that make me a lamp pole?
Lamp poles are usually quieter than this.
Right? Our parents.
The group that you're aligning yourselves with are teaching that gay people are pedophiles.
No.
That is exactly what they are saying.
Can you prove that you're a man?
What do you want me to show you my dick? Let children be children. Keep. Right? Why? You can teach them in school. You can show them pictures. Yes, but your dick in particular. All kids matter, right?
Our kids, not you.